Okay, so Trump has been indicted again, 7 counts, for the documents and the mishandling thereof, having them after he left office, which you're not supposed to do. National Defense Information, NDI, they called it. And so let's do a little Tableau, see what's coming up in his future, shall we? Let's see, Donald Trump, what's coming up for you? Ooh, okay. There's going to be circular fights. This is going to go on and on and on and on. So don't expect it to end anytime soon. In fact, the Five of Wands in House World would give me the indication that once something stops, another thing begins, because that's what the world does. The world leads back to the Fool, a new journey again. And not only does it lead back to the Fool, but you're supposed to have taken some good lessons along the way, but you're not the lesson-taking type. That's not an insult, that's an observation. So let's see what we get. So here we have the Devil in House Fool, which is beginnings of something treacherous, something horrible, something devious. There's the Nine of Wands, the Three of Wands, the Eight of Swords, the Six of Cups, and the Chariot. There is going to be pressure upon one of your children, or possibly the male children. Six of Cups is in House Emperor, or someone who was in charge. So it could be all three of them, because they all had positions within your company. Your children here, there is some pressure mounting. Nine of Wands is pressure, and it's in House Magician, so something they did as far as working goes. The Three of Wands is in House Empress, not Empress, but High Priestess. So there is some sort of details or secrets or mysteries or something, that some sort of agenda that is about to emerge. So it's about to be known. And with the Three of Wands, you can anticipate that. So this is coming up pretty soon. And then the Eight of Swords is restrictions, children, Chariot. Chariot is a victory, but it is also a bunch of different things or elements are all coming together to create something. Now, this is something that was possibly done within your administration, though. So it would be the ones who worked in the administration. I know Ivana did, I believe. Or Ivanka, excuse me. And so the Chariot in House Hierophant could indicate something they did while in office or while in government. There's some pressure mounting over that. It has something to do with Chichirin, though. The Knight of Wands, the Ten of Swords, the Justice. This is also, okay, come back up here. With the Eight of Swords and House Empress, this is also something that could have been created for them specifically. So a bit of a nepotism type thing, but it's something that is out of the ordinary, and it's going to be questioned. There's not necessarily like charges brought, even though justice is right underneath it. But it could, because it does lead to the Hermit, which is, again, the investigation, but somebody's looking into it. Just like I said here, there's some secrets that are about to emerge with Three of Wands and High Priestess. And so here, with the Eight of Swords and Empress, Empress is new. Something new being brought to life, being brought into the world. The Eight of Swords is restrictions, and so it was something created for them specifically. So that thing was restricted. This is not an open job for people. But it's out of the ordinary. And so that Eight of Swords, Ten of Swords, Three of Swords, it's out of the ordinary. This is something that they were given over somebody else. And so favoritism was shown, but for whatever reason, it sparks a legal thing or some sort of investigation. So there's that. The Knight of Wands, the Ten of Swords, the Justice, the Four of Cups, and the King of Cups. There's some sort of case being lost big time. Knight of Wands, you cannot gain control of this thing, but it has something to do with people that you worked with because it's in House Lovers. The Ten of Swords is ruined. This is in House Chariot, which would be working together. So the relationship went all the way down. It's in the trash. Some sort of legal thing here, and there's a loss. You have to take it or you have to settle here, so it's not federally criminal type of thing. It's more of a civil type of thing, so there may be a suit here, and this guy is the one who reaps the benefit. So there's some sort of loss because of a relationship. Your relationships went very sour with this person. They betrayed and retreated because they felt stabbed in the back as well. Justice, Four of Cups, King of Cups. Some guy benefits because somebody else here stabbed you in the back. But you did it to them first. So there's that. Three of Swords in House Justice. So there's 3 lawsuits here that cause a lot of pain and torment. And these are also possibly connected to people who were coerced, who were questioned, who were given opportunities to give up information in order to have a more successful future for themselves. So whistleblowers or cooperations, immunity deals, whatever that kind of thing is. Because it's in-house justice. Justice is your legal, your fairness, your balance, that type of thing. And so there's some sort of case, 3 people here, or 3 different cases where people gave you up. Because there's backstabbing right there. Backstabbing and someone possibly incarcerated too is one of those people, or incarcerated because of. So they may have some sort of, and the 4 of Swords next to that, they don't serve a full sentence. So whatever the crime is punishable up to 5 to 10 years, and then they do 18 months type of thing. So because the 4 of Swords is a lesser sentence for me. 3 of Swords, 4 of Swords, Death, the King of Wands, and the Temperance. There could be some sort of illness that a King of Wands suffers. It's drug related because the Temperance is in House Devil. Temperance is sobriety, Devil is addiction. And so it has something to do with addiction. The King of Wands here is in House Temperance. And so this person needs sobriety, needs help. They don't die necessarily. This could be one of those NDE type of things to where they're near death, or they died for 20 seconds and was brought back type of thing. There's just, they may have a heart episode and it has something to do with drugs. They should not be, because the King of Wands is very fit. So when you look at them on the outside, you wouldn't think that they would have some sort of heart episode because they're a very fit type person. But here, they have some sort of heart thing because there's a big change because death is in House Death. So this is speaking of a death of some sort. But again, 4 Swords, that's also a death. A 3 of Swords is also a heart issue. The Temperance in House Devil has to do with an addiction of some sort. So I don't know exactly what kind, but it's an addiction of some sort that leads to a heart problem. So it could be, not to put that on anyone, but it could be a junior and his powder habits. And so the Sun, the 7 of Wands, the Hermit, the 5 of Cups, the 5 of Swords. There is something here about ultimate defeat. You're going to have multiple problems with the Jack Smith too. Jack Smith comes up as the 5 of Swords, but you're going to have multiple defeats, which brings back to the 3 of Swords and House Justice. But there's multiple defeats, and then there's constant fights. You're going to be in court for the next 17 years. That's just me throwing a number out there, but this is a loop, if you look. Like, the world card is completion. Like, we have completed a cycle. But when you complete anything, it just begins something else. So if you retire, then it begins your retirement. And so here you have the completion of some sort of fight, but it goes in a circle, because it's completed. But then here in House Judgment is more combat, more defeats, more aggression. You go back to the start, house full, there's the devil. The devil is your crimes, your things that you commit, the things that you do wrong, which will bring you back to the fights. And so your cycle, like I said, the world begins to the fool ends to the world. And so the fool ending to fights, and then the fights beginning to the devil. Here, with the Sun, the Seven of Wands, the Hermit, the Five of Cups, and the Five of Swords, there's some exposure that you defend after an investigation, and then there's loss and defeat. And so I think this is just speculation, just from here. I could be wrong, but something with Jack Smith splinters and makes a new case. Or something else you have to defend against. So 7 charges initially could end up to 15 charges for something else. So he's got 2 cases against you. So here, if the Sun is in House Tower. Tower is exposure, the Sun is exposure. So let's look at our exposure cards. The Sun, the Star, and the Sun again. So House Sun. So Tower, Star, House, Sun. So in exposure, number 1, the Tower is forced exposure. This is something that's blown out, blown up. You have no choice in the matter. It just is what it is. Like a kicking door in type of thing. There's the Sun. The Sun is exposure all on its own, but the Sun is, you cannot hide this thing. There's no possibility of hiding it in the Sun. And so it's almost like you kick the door in on the speakeasy, and then there's buckets of moonshine everywhere, or the backyard gambling thing, or the drug house or something. Whatever you stumbled into, there's clear evidence of what's wrong, or what's been done, or what's going on in this situation. So there is absolutely no doubt that this is either illegal, or this is against whatever rules or statutes or something like this. This is exposure, enforced exposure. So whatever that is, whatever surprise subpoena or whatever the case may be, yields a lot of information though. Here with the Star, this is futuristic. And so this is trying to protect something. So possibly testimonies or evidence or something like that. Like I'm trying to guard, let's say for instance, they wanted to talk to Junior. Okay, there is some sort of, I have to come up with something like a presidential appreciation day or something. Like I need something to say, you can't get this information from him because he used to work for me, and then we got some kind of confidentiality agreement, So this one, the Star, is about the future, but it's also about nothing to hide. So that's why it's another exposure card. The nothing to hide part, and then you see nothing but defense. And so this is don't look behind the wall, whatever you do. And then you see nothing but smoke coming from behind there, so you know there's fire there. And so this one may take a little more court order type thing to get, but he's trying to defend because there is something to hide. Here in House Sun is the Five of Cups. Again, this is exposure. You cannot hide this thing. We will see what he loses. We will see what is lost. There also could be, with the Sun and the Five of Cups, this is, I'm making a leap here, so hashtag grain of salt. This could be some exposure around some sort of loss involving water. This is Five of Cups. Cups is the water suit. Not to mention there's water in the thing, but this is the water suit. There could be some sort of loss when it comes to water. So like his surveillance room that got flooded. There's some exposure upon that. Successful exposure, so someone could rat him out or someone could tell. In the row of the loss, there's Death, Ten of Swords, Nine of Wands. Now, Ten of Swords and Death speak of an actual death to me. Now, here with the Nine of Wands, this could be something built up. This could be an actual wall itself. This could be a guard. This could be a defense system. This could be your security system. So this is anything that is supposed to be secured by something else. So like a password protector, anything. There is a Nine of Wands pressure in guarding death, loss. So if he's not losing one of his Secret Service, or someone that's a bodyguard or someone that works for him, then he lost something that was meant to protect something else. And so if you have some sort of IT room somewhere, or if you have, because this is a thing that has power because it's in-house magician. So if it's not a person that he loses, because this Ten of Swords and death speak of a death, and then you have actual loss and grieving. This is sorrow and grieving. So grieving over this death and this loss. If it's not speaking of that, then it is speaking of something that is meant to be secured, guarded, not just secured. So there's that. But again, that's a leap. So hashtag grain salt. But there is some success by the bully here, by the Jack Smith of it all, that starts a new investigation or starts a new case of, say, it splinters. It starts something else. Nine of Wands, Knight of Wands, the Three of Swords, and the Sun. He is going to go on the attack of a person who is attacking him, or how he feels as though they are, because they're not on his side anymore. There's a lot of pressure on that person right now, especially in House Magician, so they're possibly being manipulated, so they may have a investigator or something on their tail. And then the Knight of Wands is in House Lover, so it was a relationship. This person was supposed to be on his side. Then there's the Three of Swords in House Justice. They got caught up, so they're trying to release and be successful. But he will find out who this is, and then go on the attack and say this person's a rhino, or this person's a traitor, or whatever the case may be. Three of Wands, the Ten of Swords, the Four of Swords, the Seven of Wands. There's anticipation of something ending that forces him to lie low or forces him to stop something completely, and he's very defensive about it, trying to gain that thing back. So the Three of Wands is also an international travel card for me too. So I don't know, it doesn't necessarily he means he wants to leave the country, but he wants to go somewhere, and then there's an ending to that. He becomes defensive and tries to I guess appeal to the court or something of that nature. There will be something successful about that, though. There's an initial absolutely no way type of thing, but the Seven of Wands is in House Star. Star is hope and inspiration, good news for the future. So eventually, I think there will be something lifted to where he can go back and forth places, because I know if he can't do travel, he does have to go to New York at some point, because his cases start in October, and then Letitia James' case starts shortly after that, I believe. But there's something about international travel or travel that he is restricted from. The Eight of Swords, the Justice, the Death, the Hermit. There are growing numbers of people who, this is in House Empress. Empress is confinement. The Eight of Swords is confinement in House Empress. There's a growing number of people who want Ivana's grave to be searched. Eight of Swords in House Empress. Empress is the mother of the woman. Justice in House Strength, but justice is something legal. They're trying to put something together. Death would be Death in House Death, and then there's the Hermit in House Moon. Moon is mysteries. They want a mystery searched or a mystery investigated, but the Hermit is investigations about a woman who is restricted. So either he has one tied up in his basement, or there's one underground somewhere with House Death, and they want some sort of search. This is not possible. Well, I don't think it's going to happen, but there's a growing number of people calling for that, and that's going to be something in his cap to worry about, because he knows what's in there. We don't yet. Completely. Then there's the Six of Cups, the Four of Cups, the King of Wands, the Five of Cups. There is a male child here suffering from depression. He needs to be isolated. He may have an episode or some sort of fit The Four of Cups is handing him a reality he does not accept. So it's in-house hermit. Hermit is isolation, retrospective. So he needs some therapy, or he needs some rehab or healing or something of that nature. There's a male child though. More of the fit, active one, the go-getter. He's going through a lot of depression, actually. And a lot of people can see it because it's in house sun. So everybody can see it. And then sun is in house tower. So he's going to have a tower moment to where he may have an absolute episode. And unfortunately with the sun, we're all going to see that. The Chariot, the King of Cups, the Temperance, and the Five of Swords. There is a man he is trying to strike a deal with. It is not going to work. This man is not reasonable. So if it's a Jack Smith, you have to... not reasonable is not necessarily an insult. He does not need to reason with Donald Trump at this point. So there is some sort of teamwork aspect here with the Chariot, the King of Cups. There's a man here. And then, so this could be his lawyer or something of that nature, trying to strike a deal. It is one-sided, of course, because it's in-house devil. And then the Five of Swords, that man defeats. He's, and this could be a lawsuit too. Whoever, again, with this here, this man strikes. He gets over on Donald, and Donald has to pay or has some sort of settlement with this man. I wonder if it's one of the officers, because the King of Wands is an officer card for me. So I wonder if it's one of the officers from Jan 6 that is suing or something of that nature. Because there's trauma after the devil. The Temperance card is healing from trauma. And so I wonder if it's that person. Because he here, with the King of Wands, Justice, they could be an officer too. Justice and the King of Wands. But he has some sort of advantage. What else is in here? And then he's in house Temperance. Well, for now, we shall see.